Welcome to Just Koryzma, episode 18. I'm your host, Braden Koryzma. Alongside me today is Aaron Moore.
How's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Not too bad at all.
Nice. Aaron, he does stand-up comedy. He performed in a heavy metal band, and he's working on his degree for child and youth care. He's a pretty exciting guy.
It's like when you say it like that, I'm just like, who is this guy?
Like you're so.
It
busy.
just doesn't make any sense. Like it just like, none of those things have any correlation. That's why it's just really weird. But no, I used to perform live in a band, which was really cool, and I think it was like in that part of my life where I was like, school can wait because I don't exactly know what I'm doing, but
right.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun. And it's funny, I lived in a house where it was 6 of us.
Yep.
We had 4 bedrooms, 3 levels, and 3 of the people I lived with were in that band.
Okay.
2 of the other people were girlfriends of people that were in that band, and then 2 of those people that were in that house were also people I worked with. So
cool.
It was just crazy. Like, I think it was probably a little bit too much for the friendships to like see each other at work and at home and be in this band. Like, it was probably too much, but it was a cool part of my life where I got to play a lot of shows to a lot of people, and people actually like created a big buzz of our music online just because we were pretty unique. But it was cool.
That's cool. What was the band called?
It was called Abaddon, which is so metal. Basically, it's the Greek word for this guy who opened the pit of hell. He's like a Greek demon or whatever. So, yeah.
So then, why are you really passionate about metal music, or?
I definitely used to be. I still am. Don't get me wrong. I do vocals now in a project just with a friend of mine on the side who. He's a LPN, so he's like working all hours of the day and night. So we just get time together to hang out and maybe bust out a couple things and record some stuff in his room. But
that's cool.
I always grew up listening to rock music. My dad like had me on classic rock and stuff, and then that kind of turned into metal. And like my dad's a huge metal fan. He's covered in tattoos. He's a biker. But he definitely kind of steered me in that direction. It's funny now because like I take a little bit of time off from listening to so much metal. Like I definitely listen to a lot more hip hop these days and some more popular music, like more radio stuff. But I'm like religiously huge Post Malone fan, which I get a lot of crap for.
I love Post Malone, dude.
He's just so good.
Like his voice is just unreal.
His voice is crazy. His lack of care for what anybody thinks of him is like just. You want that. You want to feel like that. You probably won't, but you want it. And then I think on top of it, like just his musicianship, like the guy played in a heavy metal band when he was in his teenage years and never made it. He actually tried out for a band that was actually pretty big called Crown the Empire, which was kind of cool. But they actually didn't accept him as the guitar player. So everything happens for a reason, obviously.
For sure. But look at him now, one of the biggest rappers out there.
And I don't know, I see him in interviews and stuff, and I'm just like, why am I not friends with this guy? Like, this guy's so cool. And we just have the same sense of humor. So, no, I'm a huge Post Malone fan, but I definitely catch a lot for it. But no,
you won't get any hate here. Like, I love Post Malone.
He's awesome. And you know what? I've converted so many people into Post fans, so.
Yeah, like, there's nothing, like, I love hearing, like, when he hits the longer notes and he gets that little ripple in his voice.
Oh, dude, yeah, he calls it, like, the goat voice, which I think is so cool.
So cool, like.
On 2 levels, it sounds like a goat, and it's also greatest of all time, for sure.
Yeah,
just to me.
For sure, right?
But that being said, he's a big basketball fan. You're a basketball fan.
Yep.
Who's your team? I never asked you.
I like the Raptors.
You're a Raptors fan?
I'm a Raptors guy. Like, they traded DeMar, so I was like...
That's crazy, man.
I thought he was going to be there. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have ever expected them to be, like, to trade him.
I thought the Kawhi thing had fizzled out. Like, I thought it was kind of over because there was so many talks about, like, Raptors are going to make a big push for Kawhi, da-da-da. But it seems like the Raptors always have that buzz, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when it dropped, I was like... I remember, like, waking up to go to the washroom in the morning, and I just, like, opened my phone, and I had a TSN notification, and I was like... I had to, like, make sure I opened my eyes fully just to make sure I was seeing what I was seeing. And, just seeing DeRozan go the other way, I was like, sure, it makes sense, but what? Like it's just crazy.
He's, like, their, like, all-star. He's, like, their player. And, it happens. It's sports. Like, it's...
The one thing I guess I would ask is, like, do you think Kawhi's going to stick around is my question. Like,
I've talked with some people, and they think, like... They've said they don't believe that he wants to play with Toronto, but like I haven't really looked too much into it. But I mean, I think Toronto's got like they're a good team. Like they did really well last year.
They have all the pieces. It's just I think they just have some bad luck. I mean, having that curse of going down 4 straight against the Cavs,
my God,
it sucks. I mean, going into that playoffs, you're like, this team has to make it to the Eastern Conference Final. Like, there's no way it won't.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's tough because Kawhi's a superstar.
Yeah.
One of the best players in the league right now, and I think if he wasn't injured, obviously it would be non-negotiable. He'd be one of the best.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes down to it, if next year, this time of the year, Toronto has all the term to give him and all the money to give him, and he can convince one other guy to come with him at some point, I could see him staying.
And I think he'd do good for like leadership and everything like that. I think he's got a lot to offer, and like I do think it's. I think he's a good player to have on the team. It's too bad they had to get rid of DeMar.
It's crazy to think about. He's Toronto's son. The thing that's tough though is like, you knew they were going to do something big.
Yeah.
They fired Dwayne Casey, which is like, I don't even think that was the right move because I don't think it was Dwayne Casey's fault. But you knew they were going to do something big, and I didn't think that they were done yet. But moving DeMar was nuts, especially considering him and Kyle Lowry, like their relationship. And just how much. The team has built up a fan base with the two of them there, and it's just crazy to think about. But if they can keep Kawhi there, that's the trade of the century.
It's a huge trade, yeah.
It is. It just looks really bad if he takes off next year.
Yeah, because I mean, like you're gonna get a superstar for 1 year, and then he's gone. Yeah. Like then you have, I mean, unless you acquire another one.
And it's so hard. It's not hard to do, I should say. It's hard to do when you don't have a superstar. When you have a superstar already,
superstars want to play with other superstars. They do, man. Like
that's what's gonna happen with the Lakers soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because I know that the Lakers were definitely after Kawhi, but the asking price was so high because San Antonio knew that the Lakers needed Kawhi, or they wanted Kawhi, right? So they were willing to ask for the moon because they were like, if you give it to us, you'll have exactly what you want, and we know that you're not going to go after anything else, and they haven't, right? Like,
yeah.
They're pretty happy with like Ingram and everybody they have there, like the younger players. But obviously, if LeBron he signed a 4-year, I think.
Yeah.
If he's looking to win something in the next 4 years, somebody's jumping on the wagon soon. Like,
oh yeah.
There's no way that he can put that team on his back. It's not a Cleveland situation.
No, I mean, yeah. Like I'm sure, like he knows he's probably in the know with all the superstars. I'm sure he could be like, come on over, like
come on. And that's why it was interesting. It was interesting for me to see Paul George resign so quickly. Like I thought that was interesting, even though that's a great team in OKC. I just thought it was interesting to like see him not even flinch. If I was Paul George, I'd be like, yo, LeBron, I will play with you in LA. Let's do it. Like let's figure something out.
Yeah.
But I just think like the team that he's going to be up against in the playoffs now with Golden State is just.
Oh my gosh! With Golden State having 5 superstars,
it's unrelenting. Everyone's taking a pay cut just to be on the parade home with the title, right? So. I know he wants to get a ring in the West. I know that's kind of what he's hoping for. It's before he retires, but
I mean,
he's got to go through a brick wall.
He's gonna be running on a brick wall, and like that's gonna be a lot of work. Like,
because even when if he gets by Golden State, taking on Boston or Philly or whoever comes out of the East is not easy, right? So
no,
gonna be interesting, but
yeah, no, I'm excited to see this year how it goes out and
Yeah, I think as a Raptors fan, I think you just kind of got to watch the Kawhi show and enjoy it while you can, and just hope he doesn't get hurt. I think that's the only thing that would really suck is if he actually got hurt long term again. But
yeah, no, I'm excited. Like he's a great player, so I'm excited to see. Like I'm sure him and Lowry or like him and like anybody, right? They can build some good chemistry. Like so.
Yeah, the guy's a superstar on his own. So let's see what he does, right? But yeah.
So coming back to the. Band, you toured. So
what
was it like touring?
We went on a few quick stints. The thing is that before I was in the band, was a promoter of concerts in Nanaimo. So I would put on shows for friends' bands and bands that were touring across Canada, anywhere from Ontario, Saskatchewan. In one case, a band that was from Seattle, and then a really bigger band in Canada, which is Protest the Hero, if you've ever heard those guys.
I personally haven't, no.
No worries. They had like a really big album that made it onto Much Music and MTV.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, so
good for them.
that was probably like the most successful show I had done. At that point, I made a good amount of money and things were pretty good. And then unfortunately, the next week I had booked a show that kind of didn't really work out for me in the sense that the tour agent that I booked through was like, yeah, this is the only date in your area, so the draw should be good. And then they kind of went ahead and booked a show that was like less than 50 kilometers away. So my draw was kind of crap on a Tuesday night because there was a show on Thursday night that was way more accessible for everybody. So I lost a bunch of money. But I guess what I'm getting at is it's funny because I was on the side of like promoting the show and worrying about the show, and then I was also on the side of I get to play a show tonight, who cares, like I'm not gonna lose any money, I'm not gonna make any money, like I'm just here to play and enjoy myself, and I made a lot of friends that way too, like you know, going city to city, you just know people now, which is weird. And I think it's also weird it being like almost 4 years later because now I I have all these people on Facebook that I don't talk to as much, and there's some people that because of the band I talk to all the time, and I have
that's awesome,
which is really cool. But yeah, man, it was a cool part of my life, and then I think I kind of realized it was time to like figure out what I wanted to do for school, and that's where I was like, this can be a hobby, and I don't have to spend that much money on it because it is expensive to buy all that gear, to purchase a van, with a bunch of like guys that are your friends, but they're also not like the most responsible people in the world, and again, living with them. So there was all those things that I was just like, okay, it's time to move on, which is probably good. But yeah, I mean, going into school, like, weirdest decision, I think, in the sense that I had a friend of my mom's who was like, you should really look into this. This would be something that I think you would actually not only enjoy, but would be good at. And I was like, child and youth care, like, am I going to be working in like preschools or daycares? And she's like, no, that's not what it is at all. And she kind of gave me an overview. And basically, if you've never heard of like what child and youth care is, it's essentially social work with more of a counseling and a theoretical background to it. So it's basically working with youth, working with children on the development side. And a lot of child and youth care workers do end up working in like child protection, which is kind of what I'm thinking about going into. So, unfortunately, like the tougher parts of removing kids or, the nicer things of fostering kids out or adopting kids out, things like that. It's funny because I went for my orientation today for my practicum, and I got a text like 10 minutes before I met up with my mentor, and she's like, listen, I have a really emergency case. There's a situation that's just gone down. I'm going to text you when I'm available. And I didn't get a text from her for hours. And finally I was like, should we just, reschedule? And she's like, yeah. She's like, sorry about this. She's like, but this is exactly the kind of stuff we go through. And it was a pretty high stakes situation with the youth. So I totally understand. But she basically was like, get used to this. This is what you're going to see, right? So I think that also, in a good way and a bad way, it brings a lot of excitement to what you do.
For sure.
No day is the same, right? So I think that part's going to be really engaging. But definitely not easy to say like, oh, of course I leave my phone on.
That's so cute, man.
But of course it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to get used to it, right? I think if you go into it thinking like, yeah, you're going to be really good at this as soon as you get going, I think you're playing yourself because...
Oh, for sure. I mean, you never really know what to expect, even like...
No, you're literally dealing with other people.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with other people who are looking to you for leadership and for help, right? So I think it's definitely interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, like, are you more, like, interested in like working with the youth or like more the younger or the older?
For me, it's always been youth. Yeah, a good question for sure. Like I have a lot of friends that are like, no, like I'm really interested in working with children and directly under 13. And for me, it's like, no, I've always wanted to be the mentoring and the guidance side of like, coming along somebody in the toughest parts of their lives, right? For me, like, I don't know about you, but like going into high school, like it's such a
huge change.
Such a huge change and such an interesting time to like be so under a microscope, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I can't imagine it now. Like, we got Facebook when I was like in grade 8 or 7 for me, right? So you were probably like 5 or 6 or something, right?
But like I didn't even go on it until because you're too young or whatever.
And no, none of us had like phones in high school, right? Maybe towards the end of high school, right?
And then, like even then it was like the iPhone. I don't think was out until I was in high school, and you were probably getting close to finishing. So
yeah, like for me, I think it was like 2010, like the iPhone 4 came out, which was like the actual like decent phone that like ran the internet.
Yeah.
Right. So. And I had graduated like a year and a half later. So I guess what I'm saying is like going into that stage of my life now with all that extra stuff, I don't know how you could do it.
No, like
I had friends that barely graduated because of Xbox Live. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we all had those friends that were like, you just don't go to class because you're playing live all the time.
All day, yeah.
And that was hard enough. But now like
they have these phones and like there's Fortnite on the phone and like there's like all these things that like
playing Fortnite on my phone is like shouldn't even be
a thing. No.
This is so embarrassing, but I'm at like a concert the other night and I'm in like the lounge sitting area of this like bar show.
Yeah.
And I literally am like, I don't care about this band and it's too loud to talk in here with my buddies. I'm like, I'm just gonna play a quick round of Fortnite. And it's just like the stupidest thing, like that I can do that. But I guess what I'm saying is like the baggage now that you bring into your life when you enter high school is just crazy.
Yeah.
One of like my favorite comedians right now, Bo Burnham. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I've seen both the specials.
Oh, he's awesome. He just put out he directed, wrote, and produced a film called 8th Grade, and it's like really focuses now on like these days going into like middle school, high school, and just how absurd like the priorities of life are at that time.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, you know, a pool party is like a pretty stupid idea, and considering that it's like all these people whose bodies they'd rather not show at all, like showing them off next to a pool and all of them look different, you know, like everyone's in different stages, and it's just so interesting because I think that's like a great snapshot of like what I want to help kids, like our youth, move through.
Yeah. Is
the fact that you have no assurance of who you are or what you're going to be or who you want to be.
Right.
I look at myself in high school and I'm like, of course you get embarrassed, right? Like you like think
it's
like,
gonna happen,
right? You like look back at like what you thought, what your priorities were, what you were worried about, and you're like, why was I worried about that? But that's exactly what goes through your head back then. Is like you're so worried about being accepted, having, you know, a safe group of people who you're like, oh God, like no matter what happens, at least these people are gonna be with me, right?
Absolutely.
And not all of us, I think, got that, right?
No, some people, like, they only had one friend, and, like, that friend would, like, you know, they'd go see other people, and then they'd be like, I'm okay, like, I'll just...
Right, I'll hang back, or, you know, it's not, I don't think I can really hang with these people. It's not really my crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, I've always seen that being a lot more relatable, and I've always seen that being a lot more important, I think. I think a lot of kids, youth, I should say, need that encouragement to not only like A, finish school, but B, to try and enjoy themselves. Like, it's so hard. I mean, there's two ends of the spectrum where you just don't want to be there, and there's the other end of the spectrum where you're there, but you're so worried about your grades, or you're so worried about your engagement with what you're doing at school that you're just not enjoying it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because like at Barsby I had a science teacher. You probably had him, Mr. Peaster.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Mr. Peaster was so funny because he was a very stern guy.
Super stern.
Very serious, but I remember one time in particular, I think it was like grade 10 biology or something, I kind of like thanked him at the end of the year because I had seen that he had given me a B when I don't think I even really deserved a B, to be honest. And he's like, you know what? He's like, you're doing it and you're trying to have fun while you're doing it. And that's all I care about. And I was like,
perfect.
All right. But you wouldn't expect that from him because that wasn't the guy he was.
No, because he's always very stern. He's always like, you know, like, you're in my class, you're here to listen, you're here to learn. Like,
yeah, very like worried about whether you're paying attention, worried about whether you're getting stuff in on time, which, hey, that's his job.
Oh, that's his
But
right?
I just did not expect him to be like, I respect your hustle, I respect that you're trying to have some fun while you're here. Because, like, to be honest, I did, like, can I swear?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I did fuck around a lot in that class.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, like, everybody had that class where your friends, you had that perfect balance of like friends in your class.
Yeah.
And it was probably the worst thing for all of you because you didn't pay attention. No, you had way too much fun. You were stoked for the class because you're like I'm not
going to do today.
Exactly. Yeah. What kind of shit are we going to get into today? And there was stuff that happened that like I look back on and I'm like, we were just idiots, but definitely wouldn't trade it. And I think if those people that were in that class were here today, I would definitely reminisce about some of that stuff that I remember, but I don't think they want to remember, which is pretty fun. But yeah, so I definitely think that youth is the way that I'm going to be the most effective in what I'm doing. So sorry for just giving you these long-winded answers.
No, it's cool. Like I'm glad you you know what you want. You know what you want. You're prepared. You know.
For sure.
But this is part of the show called the motivational moment. So I would like you to describe me your passion in 5 words or less.
This is so tough. So, do a lot of people give you do they give you 5 straight words, or they give you separate words and equaling to 5? What's the?
It all depends. Like I've had. I mean, so you don't have to base it off your exact passion. Right. It could be something you just live by. Like I've had people say, my one guest said, do whatever I want. I had somebody say, be nice, have fun, or be respectful to others. There's all this they're almost values at this point.
Okay. For me, I think I do have to kind of sum it up in words because I think that's the only way it's not gonna this fly just hates me. I think it's the only way it's not gonna get too far out. I think for me it's people, passion, laughing, I think enjoying, and I think present. And when I say present, I just mean being present.
Being present, not recording it on your phone, And
that's the thing. So many people are like, why didn't you get a picture of that? Or why didn't you take a video of that? Especially if I'm at a concert or if I'm at a thing with my family, and I'm like, because the most valuable one to me was the fact that I saw it with my eyes.
Yeah, you're not seeing it through the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's not not every moment you need to capture. Some moments you kind of just need to cherish.
And yourself. The way that you captured is so it's all up to you, right?
Yeah.
One of the ones that comes back to me is I went to this festival called Warped Tour back in the day, when I was I think I was 15, and I won VIP for one of my favorite bands. They were called Under Oath, and I was backstage, and I was what is happening here? This is crazy, and I got to watch them from side stage for the whole show.
Oh yeah, okay.
And everyone's it was so weird because we could see you from side stage, and you just sat there and stared, and you didn't take a picture, you didn't rock out, you just kind of, and I was yeah, because I literally took it in holy, this is happening right now. And it's so funny because I look back at that and I'm that pretty much sums up how I feel about a lot of things. I'm not the kind of person to post every moment on social media, obviously. If I find something funny, I will definitely find a way to milk it, but I'm not the kind of person to be at the beach and have to take the perfect picture of the beach, right? So I think that's definitely what sets me apart from a lot of people is I just don't care about that.
Your phone. Yeah,
don't really
that's cool.
I will say I love technology. I have 2 phones. I have to have 2 phones. I have one for work. I have one for personal. I have an iPad and I have a MacBook. But at the same time, I just think the worlds are kind of different for me.
For sure.
Because a lot of people, I think their social life and their connection to everything in the world is through whatever's on the phone, the social media, the YouTube, the Tinder, right? Whatever it is, right?
So, for sure.
Yeah,
that's cool. So you recently did your first stand-up show. So tell me about that. What motivated you to give it a try?
It was weird because the way it kind of came up was, I do a pretty good Donald Trump impression. Donald Trump impression. So my buddy, 2 of my buddies, they're in a band together in town called Tom Hills. And they were like, can you lend us your Trump impression for this interview we want to do? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, we want you to interview us as Donald Trump. And I was like, I can do that.
Right.
So we did a 30-minute live stream of an interview. And people just ate it up. They thought it was hilarious. And it kept going on that, I was basically this cheerleader for the band. They're all my friends, right?
Yeah, of course.
I literally was just hey, these are my friends, I support them. To the point where my buddy Liam, who's the singer, goes, if everyone thinks that Aaron Moore should do stand-up, like the status. And I got a whole bunch of likes and comments, and he invited me for coffee one night, and he goes, so we're trying to raise money for our next album. How would you feel about doing a stand-up set for us? And I was like, at first I was like, no way.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, no way, I'm not going to do that. And then it kind of turned into, let me think about it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then it was funny because about a week and a half later, I got a call from him while I'm driving, and he's like, so I booked the venue. And I was like, oh, good. He's like, yeah, do you want the date? I was like, yeah, go ahead. And he's like, July 21st. So I was like, isn't that bathtub weekend? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, perfect. Good. Yeah. Lots of people downtown. Lots of people that are going to be there. Perfect. He's like, you don't sound impressed. I'm like, no, I'm excited. Like, this is great. So I was definitely like, I was worried at that point. I was I got to get writing. I got to figure this thing out. I have to do what some people have spent, months to a year preparing to do.
So how did you find, like, preparing the material? Did you find it, like, pretty... Like, did you kind of look for, like, a topic and then just focus on that, or did...
It's so weird. Like, I wrote my best shit just thinking to myself in the car.
Oh, really?
Like, it's so weird that way. Like, you want to say that, like, I'm going to sit down today and I'm going to work on this. But you can't. Because, like, with stand-up, it's like, you can't just have a funny thought or a funny, like, way of telling something by just sitting down and focusing on it. I just couldn't do it. So it would suck. Like, there would be times where I'd be like in the car and I'd be like, I gotta pull over because I gotta write this down right now or else I'm gonna forget. So I'd like get out my notes app, pulled over and be like, and like tapping away, like trying to like write down this idea to the point where when I read it later, I'm like, oh yeah, this is that great idea I had.
Right.
So yeah, it was definitely hard. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, how much can I do? How much can I realistically do before A, it just isn't good, or B, it's too short. So I did about 12 to 13 minutes, which like was good for the first time because up there it feels like forever.
I bet, like.
But in the crowd, everyone's like, no, like, it was nice and it didn't feel like you were up there too long. It didn't feel like it blew by too quickly.
Okay, that's good.
Overall, I have like pretty bad anxiety as is. Like I just am a pretty anxious person, but leading up to it, I was a ball of stress. Like I was like, I'm gonna forget up there. Nothing's gonna land. People aren't gonna think I'm funny anymore. You get this like spiral in your head of like, if this happens, and this happens.
Like it's just like once one thing happens, you're not gonna be able to recover, and then you're literally just gonna.
The ground floor is blown out, and I'm gonna be crashing. Yeah. So when it actually came time to do it, I definitely had like my buddy Zach like just kind of sit me down and be like, "You're gonna be fine. Everything's gonna go well. People love you." It's like, okay. So when I got up there, it all actually went really well. People laughed. The jokes, every one of them basically hit.
That's awesome.
And it really felt good. And the thing is like it felt sweeter because I was so worried.
Yeah.
At the end, I was like, holy shit, like why was I worried? But at the same time, I was like, I don't know if I can do this again because leading up to it, I was just like, this is ruining my life. Why did I say yes to this? So I definitely think that I'm not closed off to the idea, but I definitely...
Like, you'd have to, like, I guess, be a little more prepared?
Yeah, and I'd have to feel a lot more confident in what I'm doing. Basically, I threw everything together in a month and a half, which, looking back at, was just stupid. It was stupid to try and do that, but it went well enough that I'm like, if I had enough time, could I do this, right? So...
I mean, at least you got like your feet wet. Yeah, you can you tested it out. You're like, you would definitely go. You could go back, but it's like you put the time. You gotta put the time in and stuff.
Oh, for sure. And the funny thing is everyone's like, well, why don't you post a video of it and da da da? And I'm like, I have a video of it. Don't doubt that. But I just don't know if I could release it because it's just like, it's almost like releasing something that you didn't know how it was going to go. It's like an experiment that and you're not even sure yet how you feel about it. So letting everyone see that it's going to be interesting, but I think eventually I will post it.
That's
because
awesome.
It's like, it's kind of just leaving it in the past and being like, it went how it went. I did how I did and it's over, right? So,
for sure. Yeah, like when you do post it, I'm going to be really excited to watch it.
Sure.
Like it's good. Like I think I'll get a good laugh. I know.
Yeah, it's a lot of Nanaimo material, so I think as long as you know Nanaimo, I think you're probably gonna like it. But
nothing better than that.
Yeah. So, in short, I think it went well, but as far as how it goes next time, I think that's remains to be seen. I don't know. So.
Well, I look forward to your next one. Like I'll hopefully I can make the next one.
Yeah, no worries. It's tough because by the time I went on, it was about 10:30 at night. So for most of the bar crowd on Friday, like for Bathtub, everyone was like at the fireworks, right? So
for sure,
that's kind of how that goes. But no, it was good. There was a lot of people, and
that's awesome.
My buddies made a lot of money, for their album release, which is going to be good. So
that's great.
All good.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to thank you for coming on the show.
Worries, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you?
Good question. I should plug this because if I don't, I think I'd be silly.
For sure.
I need to pay tuition for another year, so if you want to get a phone, definitely hit me up on Facebook or, come in and see me at Costco if you have a Costco membership in the household. As shameless as I am with this, I will say anything is really appreciated, and of course I want to get you a good deal on a phone with all those Costco cash cards and everything, so
absolutely,
that's pretty big. And then if I do another stand-up, I definitely will make it known. So thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on.
It's cool to do this.
Yeah,
cool, man.
You can find me at Just Koryzma. I think I said 18. This episode was 18. It might be 19. I can't actually remember.
Hard to keep track at this point.
It is sometimes. If you like the videos, hit that subscribe button. Check out the other videos; they're always great. Everyone gets better. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, and thank you again, Aaron.
No worries, man. Thanks so much.